Hey, Soul Warriors, this is Jessica Noel, and I'm coming at you with season 2, episode 8 of my podcast, Uncovering Your Authentic Soulful Self. And today in season 2, episode 8, we're going to be talking about wounded relationship patterns, the power of the mind, and healing through the alchemy of unconditional love. So we have a lot to cover in a short amount of time. So I'm going to make it as short as I can. Hopefully it'll be about a half an hour, but we may go over a little bit. We'll see how far we get, but I have a lot to cover. I did actually end up taking a couple of notes too, because there was so much to cover that I wanted to make sure I tracked everything that wanted to come through today in this episode for you. So before we get started diving into this pretty large topic, you noticed it was a big title. I'll tell it to you again. Wounded relationship patterns, the power of the mind, and healing through the alchemy of unconditional love. So a lot to say on each area, and I even have a fun little demo. So we're gonna have some fun today to show you. The other interesting thing was that I actually recorded a whole episode. So I'm gonna tell you this before we tune in and really get started, but I recorded a whole episode on the evening of my embodied wisdom and profound healing group. I was guided to record a whole episode right before the group, which was kind of strange because it was kind of back to back. I needed to get that done right before the group started, but I went with it. And so a lot of information came through. It was a really good episode. But what I found was, so basically all electronics and all light bulbs were not working for me. Going through one of those phases, and so could not do any editing on my computer or anything like that, so just kind of left it alone and thought about revisiting it today. But as I thought through that, it felt very clear that I was meant to do a different episode in place of it. But also remember what we talk about, where our words can communicate energetically. So as the higher the frequency, the more you can do this sort of almost at a collective level. So not almost, like definitely at a collective level. It just depends what frequency you're in. If you're merging with like higher frequency energies as well, the information can kind of be broadcast out very widely. So it's very similar to what I've talked about before, where if there's something that you need to communicate to somebody, but you can't say it verbally, but it's important that you speak it, then writing a letter and saying it to them. So verbally speaking this information to them and thinking of it like you're speaking soul to soul. So the higher part of you is saying these things to the higher part of them. And then there's like this trickle down effect so that the information can still get in, but most importantly, that you've said what you needed to say for your end so that you could feel healed and not feel like you're kind of blocking or constricting your throat. So that's like another example of this. The things that I said that day needed to be said and I needed to record it. It's just about not having to post it. So it's kind of like a big broadcast out. So there were several reasons for it, but that was one of them. So no need to actually post that one, but I am going to post this one. I also want to say before we tune in and really dive into this topic, these three topics, that I do not currently have the option of editing it. So this will be an unedited version. So if there are pauses, because like I said, I did take notes. I had to take some notes because it's such a large topic and I want to make sure I cover everything. So I might be looking over to make sure that I'm getting through all of the things that wanted to come through. So be patient with me if there's anything like that. Typically, I don't edit very much. Sometimes I'll cut it down a little bit. I'll just take a little section off, or if something gets interrupted, or if I kind of lose my train of thought for a second and kind of say the same thing twice, I'll just cut little bits of it off. But it's not a lot of editing. But today there will be none. So just bear with me because I have to post this just as is. So let's go ahead and take a minute and really tune in and become very present before we dive in. So close your eyes if that's possible for you. If not, just follow along by taking 3 deep breaths, one at a time, slow, long, and deep. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. That's good. Now I want you to drop your energy like we typically do from the head, the thinking mind, the doing mind, dropping that energy down into the heart center, the feeling, the being, present moment center. And just feel that energy traveling down and settling into the heart center so that you can listen and take this information in mentally, but most importantly, through the knowing of the heart and opening your energy body, opening yourself up to receiving these healing transmissions energetically as we continue through speaking about these topics today. One more breath. Really feel your body on the surface that you're on. Feel yourself in your body in this present moment. Good. You can open your eyes when you're ready. So the first part I want to say, actually, this is a little bit of a side note, so I want to say this now, is that tomorrow is the 29th of February, and got a very clear information that tomorrow, the 29th, that is leap year day. What it is a very special day energetically, and for those of us that are on this spiritual path, it is a day that is very much like a reset day, a blank slate day. So please really take advantage of that information as you move forward into tomorrow. And knowing that it is a day where you can really choose to let go of the past, to let go of what has come before, and really fully integrate everything that you've received so far that maybe hasn't been integrated energetically, and really move into this new life, this new version of you, so that you can receive all of the things that you prefer, all of the things that you want to experience in this life. We get to decide what we experience and what we prefer to have come into our life, what we like to manifest and create. And please take a moment to really clear the slate and let go of all of that is really that you're holding on to from the past, and that is resonant with the former version of you, and so that you can fully become this new version of you that has access to the things that you truly would like to experience in this life. Okay, lots of energy. Really all focusing on tomorrow. So please just clear the slate, and just with your intention, any process that you feel guided to do so, go ahead and do that. But understand that you get to call in also what you're really truly wanting to create and manifest, and really move fully into this higher version of you. Okay, so having said that, the first topic that I want to talk about is something that I actually tried to post about. I didn't try, I actually did post about on, I believe it was last week, and I think it was on Sunday. I got really inspired and guided to post about this topic that I had been really, for quite some time, had been guided to speak on, but I never felt like such a strong urge that it was time now and I needed to do it now. But I knew that at some point that I was going to be talking about it. And I came across a video reel from Facebook that I had saved. And it was this girl, this woman, yeah, very young woman. She was talking about having been in a relationship with a narcissist. So I want to talk about the narcissistic personality in general, that which we label the narcissistic personality. And I also want to talk about being in a narcissistic relationship. So this is something that's been a long time coming that we're going to dive into today. So this is part of the topic of wounded relationship patterns. Okay. So I posted a very long paragraph, I mean, like basically essay with multiple paragraphs. I posted that along with her video. That was sort of my commentary on her video, and also shared like a personal experience that I had that I could relate to, and the wisdom I was sharing about where I ultimately was able to come to after having had that experience, and also kind of talking about the whole idea of narcissism and what you can get out of the takeaway, the wisdom you can pull from, right? Because all of our experiences, good or bad, we can pull wisdom from them and then let the rest go. It's really the whole point of it. We don't want to hold on to all that pain that's going to hold us back and harm us until we choose to let it go, if that ever even happens, right? People can hold on to pain for decades. So we don't want to do that. So I saw that reel, and then that sparked this very long, lengthy post. And I was guided to take it down, I think after maybe, I don't know, maybe up to 8 hours. It was on there for several hours at least. So whoever saw it was supposed to see it. And I was guided to take it down at that point. And so I went ahead and moved that to archive, and feel that, and then I felt that, oh, you're going to speak about it. So I'm going to talk about it today. So first I want to talk about the whole idea of a narcissistic person. So I want to take the label out of narcissism. It's such a hot button topic right now, and it has been for several years at this point. So I want to take the whole name off of it, and I just want to call it a set of wounded patterns and behaviors. Okay, so that is what this is, a grouping of wounded patterns and behaviors that people are labeling narcissism or a narcissistic person. There are other groupings of wounded behaviors and patterns that could be labeled other things, or that actually aren't even labeled. Okay, so first I want to say that let's take the label off of it and talk about it like that, like it's this grouping of patterns and behaviors. I also want to say I also want to just simply say, like I said in this post, that there are also groupings of wounded behaviors and patterns that are okay, so actually let me back up and say the narcissistic behavioral pattern and wounding grouping of those, what they are is reactive in nature and harmful to others. Say that again. They are reactive in nature and harmful to others. Okay. So I also want to say that there are wounded behavioral patterns and actions and emotions that are repressive in nature and harmful to self. Okay, so we've got a wounded behavioral pattern set of a grouping of them that is harmful to others and reactive in nature, and we have a set of patterns that are repressive in nature and harmful to yourself. So one of the questions I posed in this post was, is one worse than the other? And I want you to consider that. Is the reactive in nature and harmful to others worse than the repressive in nature and harmful to self, or are they equal? So that's for you to decide. So I'm not going to even comment on that. That's for you to decide. I'm simply distinguishing that we all have wounded behavioral patterns, and you get to choose to leave them in place and continue to play them out and live that type of cycles, or you get to choose to heal them and move forward on your journey of evolution and becoming the highest version of you. And so those of you who are listening, you soul warriors, you have chosen already to heal them and all that their roots and origins, everything they've meant and that they've done to you, and clear that away. And so becoming the highest version of you. So we all have had them, right? So they get wired into us in childhood. So let me also say that these groupings, whatever, there's quite a few different ones, right? And they can look very different from person to person. What they are is handed down from us from our caregivers, from our parents, whoever those people were that were very influential, that we were around the most as children. We're going to watch what they do. And sometimes it's through watching that we learn these behavioral patterns. And other times it's a genetic passing down of information. And sometimes it's energetic. So it's just sort of imprinted upon us. So those are the things that happen naturally and automatically to all people. So therefore, did we choose them? We did not choose them. The other thing that they can be from is from a traumatic situation. So from some kind of traumatic event or experience, something you have perceived as traumatic, then you can wire those in as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to come from childhood, but there is a huge amount that does. And then other things come from experiences and traumas that get wired in that way. So, but either way, it's not like you've chosen, like consciously, I want to have these behavioral wounds and patterns. So therefore, like somebody that's actually a narcissistic personality type that we've labeled that with that grouping, they actually didn't choose that either. Just like the other person that has a repressive, harmful to self personality grouping of wounds, which could look like people pleasing, which could look like self-destructive behavior, self-sabotage, that's not chosen either. That was like either a reaction to what you experienced that was traumatic, or it was programmed into you from childhood, or maybe even like both. Okay, so I want to just kind of put that out there to sort of level the playing field, understanding that these are not like chosen, like, yes, I consciously want to do this. However, it is our responsibility 100% to then take full responsibility of whatever that is that we have, whatever wounding pattern, behavioral, dynamics that we have, take full responsibility for them, and then start to do something about healing them. So if we don't do that, nothing happens, nothing changes, right? And it's completely our responsibility to do that. We have to do that in order to stop hurting ourselves, or in the other case, to stop hurting others. So I'm telling you where it came from so you can understand that nothing was chosen either direction. But I'm also telling you that it's completely, fully 100% your responsibility, our responsibility, whoever this is, whoever these people, who all is watching this, you have to take responsibility, whatever your wounding pattern is, to, yes, I have this in me, and now I'm going to do this, this, and this to start my healing journey. Okay. So in this reel, this young woman talks about being in this relationship with this person that she's describing as narcissistic. And she talks about it as, she said something like, imagine meeting someone and being in this relationship with someone that you feel like this is your soulmate, this is your person. The universe has created this person specifically for you. And you're both saying the same things, and there's all this huge amount of love. You feel like it's so magical, and it's like, how, making plans for the future, and how could you have lived so long without having had this person in your life? And there's a lot of excitement about planning the future, and so on and so forth. And over time, after kind of living in this like addictive, she describes it as addictive high, the best high of your life, she says, then over time there starts to be like this person that you were like fully open and vulnerable with and loved all 100%, starts to take these little digs at you, is what she describes. And so pretty soon it gets more and more intense until it becomes this situation where it's like this person that loved all parts of you and everything about you, and that you have considered like a soulmate, is now seeming to despise everything about you. And that literally is the experience that a lot of people have with this particular personality type, this particular set of behavioral wounds, is that it starts with this, well, some people call it love bombing. It starts with this intensity of love, and they tell you how perfect you are, and it feels emotionally, energetically like this like most beautiful love story, that it's like, oh my God, I've waited for you all my life, and where have you been? And a lot of excitement. And then it slowly starts to become a situation where it's like they hate everything about you, and everything is flipped on you. Like, well, when you try to communicate with them, if you hadn't done this, I would never have done that. So anytime it comes about like you call their behavior into question, or their deception, or whatever it is that they're doing, it's like, well, if you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have done that. So shifting blame, responsibility. And I'm not going to go into all of the ways that looks, but this is kind of the gist, kind of painting you a picture. So there's so much confusion at the end of this, right? Because this person you thought loved all parts of you, like basically unconditionally, is now despising you, basically, and telling you that everything is your fault. And typically the person on the other end of that is, and this is what this young woman was sharing, was that she was starting to be like, well, maybe that is right. Maybe if I hadn't done this, then things would be better. And then also this attempt to get back to where it started from in the beginning. So trying to hold on, trying to fix it, trying to make the person happy, trying to figure out what to do to try to get back to this sort of blissful place that there was before, and being very, very confused and having a hard time to wrap your mind around the cruelty of, this is her words, like the cruelty of somebody shifting like that, loving all parts of you and making you believe that they were this person, and then moving into this place where it's like they're shifting blame, they're gaslighting you, is another term that's a hot button word. I like to just say they're turning things around to make it appear as your fault, to get out of responsibility taking. is the way I'd like to reframe that. And all of a sudden it's like they don't like any parts of you. So then you typically there's a big issue with erosion of identity in these types of relationships, where it's like the person on the receiving end starts to lose their sense of self, and even it's like their self-worth starts to get very, very severely wounded, and their self-confidence and all of these things. So the longer they stay in, the more eroded their self-worth and self-esteem, and even their own identity starts to shift if they stay long enough. So I wanted to talk about it from the angle of the other person, right? Let me talk about it from the angle of this young woman. So I have had an experience many years ago with somebody with this set of behavioral patterns, right? So as I listened to her, could resonate very strongly. This is quite a few, many years ago now, and it didn't go into the place of losing my identity, but it did go into the place of a lot of loss, a lot of stepping down vibrationally, a lot of holding on when, I think you have to really take responsibility for you who are on the receiving end. And we often don't look at it like that. It doesn't excuse the person that's being abusive, that is abusive. That's never okay. But the thing is the only thing we can do is learn from what we experience, right? So from my perspective, it became about, the way that she described some of her wounds and she didn't call them her wounds. She just called them like what it was doing to her. Basically, what we're looking at is on her end and on the end that I was on, this is about self-worth, self-confidence, awareness. So kind of coming out of your magical fantasy land and being aware of what's happening and paying attention to the red flags, letting go when someone's not healthy for you. And so that would mean prioritizing yourself over someone else and your well-being, right? And there's discernment and boundaries. So all of these things can be learned from being in that type of relationship. And there's so much more. This type of relationship can be full of wisdom. So I'm not saying get into it, absolutely don't. But if you have experienced that, or you do, then try to find the teaching, try to find the highest wisdom. What was it about that version of me, is how I look at it now. What was it about that version of me? What was it about me that made me be in that relationship, that made that relationship come into my life experience? Why did that happen? And it's because you had matching wounds. So we talked about the wounds of somebody that has that grouping of behavioral patterns that's labeled as narcissism. And then we talked about somebody that has behavioral patterns that are repressive and harmful to self in nature. These two fit together like puzzle pieces, right? So they fit together perfectly. So that's the work. That's the healing journey, is to find ways to heal yourself, to have more self-love, to prioritize yourself, to have more self-confidence, to have more awareness, discernment, and boundaries, have more strength, and really healing all of those parts of you that come up. There's so many different ways that could act out depending on the person, but these are the really the key ones, right? Again, self-worth, self-confidence, lack of self-doubt. You have to be very strong in yourself. So strength and strong in what you believe, not having self-doubt, boundaries, discernment. And once you start to heal those parts of you that you realize were a factor, or the reason why you were in that relationship, then you start to become actually a higher version of yourself that would actually never be in resonance with that type of relationship ever again. It would never come into your life experience. So that's the interesting paradox, is it's like that version of you, that was the type of relationship that was available, was going to be that type of relationship. It fit, it was resonating, right? Because your wounds were resonating with their wounds, and they fit together like puzzle pieces. Once you heal and you grow from the experience, you become this higher version of you, and there's no longer any kind of fitting or resonance. So it actually won't even come into your life situation. You learn all of this wisdom and you become a detector. So it's like you got their number now. You're not going to ever end up in a relationship with that type of behavioral pattern, because you can spot it a mile away. You can feel it in the energy. Once you heal to the highest degree, you can feel it energetically immediately. And so you might observe someone like that, but they're never going to come into your life experience again because you won't resonate with them. Everything is resonating with frequency. So that would never happen. So that's kind of the paradox is once you learn all of the signs and you've healed from it all, you don't really have to like try it out, so to speak, because it'll just never show up in your experience again because you've overcome all of the things that created that to be a possibility. But I also want to say that it's a great learning experience. So for me, for my path, you know, in this, I'm not saying this is the same for this young girl or for anybody else. For me, for my path, I absolutely needed to go through that experience. I was meant to learn about deception, manipulation. I was also meant to learn unconditional love. So being able to unconditionally love all parts of myself and then all parts of him. And I was also meant to see where was it that I needed to grow. That relationship showed me all the places that I needed to grow and heal, and in a way that was very profound. And I would say that it honestly was the biggest catalyst for transformation I ever had. I had a lot of catalysts before that, you know, whether they be like through pain or through just enlightened, you know, energy or activations. But this one was the biggest catalyst for transformation. So I would never in a million years take that away. I am so grateful today. This version of me today is so grateful to have had that experience because of everything that it taught me, all of the wisdom that I gained and all of the healing I was able to do at that point. The level of suffering and the depth of grief that can bring is very, very intense. And that itself is a catalyst too. So for me, I had to go through that. I had to go through all of the different levels of it and to understand it. She talked a lot about it making her lose her identity. For me, it just kind of made my energy level like drop, my frequency drop, because I kind of moved down into his frequency. And I think I mentioned that before briefly, moved down into this lower frequency to try to fix things. For me, it was really about holding on. So it was like, it wasn't so much that I didn't understand what was happening. I very much did. And I would call it out. And there was some arguments regarding that for sure. So I understood what was happening, but I fought against it because I thought I was fighting for love. I thought I was fighting for something. So I didn't really understand that that wasn't really there to begin with. Right. So I think that the other thing to keep in mind is for some of these people, they can't feel love. It's not actually something they can, but for some of the grouping that is a similar behavioral pattern, they actually are loving you to the highest capacity they can. And this is what it looks like. So for my situation, this person definitely loved me to the highest capacity that he could. But that's just what it looked like. It was very distorted, and it had a lot of deception and many other things that I won't go into that were, love was not enough, right? The capacity that he could love me in was not enough. And all of the distortions and the lies and all of those things is not something that would ever be allowed in my life. So my thing was holding on to and trying to heal it, right? So that was a wound I had. That was something to work through. You can't heal people like that. So that brings me to my next thing. This is something that's in the Yoga Sutras. It's called the locks and keys. And it's a very simple way that it gives you a guideline of how to deal with different types of people. So when somebody comes into your life, there's 4 of them. When someone comes into your life and their energy that they're bringing to you is virtuous, then your response, so that's the lock, your key, your response to responding to someone coming into your life that's virtuous is to be delight. And if someone comes into your life, the second one, that is happy, then that's the lock. And the key to responding to someone that's happy is through friendliness. And then the third lock is when someone comes into your life and they're unhappy. That's the lock, and the key is to respond with compassion. The fourth one, and this is translated in Sanskrit, so I'm going to give an extra definition to the word because of the translation. They translate it as wicked. So when someone comes into your life and they are wicked, that's the lock, and your key is called disregard. Okay, so the extra definition I want to give to the word wicked is somebody that I want to give an analogy like a wild animal, somebody that's here coming into your life and they're a wounded wild animal. So wounded wild animals are going to attack and harm anybody that crosses their path. And it's not because they want to or they hate you or anything like that. It's just that's the energy they're in. That's where they're at. And that's what they're going to do. So you can't go up to them and help them or save them, because you will get harmed and attacked, no matter what words you're saying or whatever's happening, right? So that was a big teaching for me, right? Is disregard. You can't have somebody like that in your life. You can't heal somebody like that in your life. That's not realistic. They will harm you, and no matter what your approach. So the key to somebody who is in that kind of pain, I'm still going to call it pain. These groupings of patterns that people are labelling as narcissistic, there's a lot of judgment surrounding that. It still is pain. It is one set of wounding patterns. We all have them. I'm not excusing any kind of abusiveness, never okay. That's what they're supposed to learn on their end. We can say prayers for that they learn, and you know, the divine helps them to overcome everything that's about, and that they get to heal those behavioral patterns, become a higher version of themselves. Wonderful. I hope that they all do. That's the best you can do, is say prayers and love them unconditionally from afar, because you have to disregard, meaning you cannot let them in your life. You cannot interact with them at all. It has to be moving away from them, moving away from that wild animal that's going to attack anything that comes across its path. Okay. So that's how I want to describe it. And another thing that crossed my path today was this little clip that said, why do good people choose the wrong people? It's a very simple question. Why do some good people or nice people choose the wrong people? And the answer was that, you know, the wrong in terms of relationship is what this is. So the answer is, we accept the love that we think that we deserve. 100%. We accept the love that we think we deserve. Sometimes going into these types of relationships, though, we don't know that's what it is. There's a trick. It's almost like an energetic kind of trick that you know, smoke and mirrors, that you don't see it at first until you've healed to a point where you wouldn't resonate with it, right? Then you see it a mile away. I see it a mile away now. And of course, I don't interact with anybody, but I mean, I can see it, you know, in the media or whatever, wherever else, or just somebody passing by. So that's the truth, though, right? So there was so much for this girl. I'm not sure where she's at, but for me, I had come to this level of self-love, I thought, at that, and again, many years ago, but I had come to this level of self-love. I thought that it was like that, you know, I really fully accepted and loved all parts of me, but then this person comes along and does the same, but then pretty soon starts like clearly sort of taking these jabs and not loving these parts of me. And so what it was for me is that I hadn't fully stabilized and anchored in that self-love. And really what it was for me was holding on and trying to heal and fix and so on. So that was a big part of it for me. It wasn't so much that I believed any of those things, because I clearly knew my value, but it does start to it took a hit on me in a surprising way, even then, when I had loved all parts of me. It's like, don't ever be in a relationship with somebody that can't love all parts of you. You love all parts of you first. And then if they can't do it, then they're not for you. And you need to become a higher version of you that would attract a relationship with somebody that can do that. Love all parts of you. Okay. So again, why do some nice and loving people choose the wrong people to date? Because they accept the love that they think that they deserve. And that can come from anybody. This doesn't have to be this set of behavioral patterns that we call narcissism. It can just be that they never really experienced somebody loving them unconditionally, loving them fully. So it's like they don't really know what to do with it, so they might run away. They might just not be able to take it in. They might be more comfortable with like more toxic partners. So this is somebody that maybe, now I'm talking about somebody that doesn't have those patterns, but they just more don't know what to do with unconditional love. They don't know what to do with that. So they might run away. They might go back to old, unhealthier like relationships because they don't know how to take it in yet. But if they do some healing, they'll be able to. Okay, so last thing on this. I told you that I was so grateful for all the time spent with this person. There's some of them are really, they can't feel love. I said that before. This person, and some people, they can feel love to their capacity, and they can experience and express it and also hold the other behavior patterns simultaneously. It's a little more rare, but they can have both. And so that can be very confusing because you can see in there, they got this love, they've got this tenderness, but they also have this. So they have both. So that kind of can do a number on the mind, because our mind usually wants to go black and white. Well, which one is it? Well, sometimes it literally is both. You can see the light, the soul, the love in them, but they have the other thing too. And if they have the other thing, then the love that you share with them, or that you are giving to them, or the love they have for you, no, not enough. You have to have the full package of unconditional love toward, and unconditional love and healthy dynamics. Okay. So last thing I want to say is that gratitude. So back to the gratitude. So much gratitude for my experience for that. Do you know how many people I have since helped in all of these years that have passed to realize they were in that type of relationship, to get out of that type of relationship, and to move forward on their personal healing journey? The number is staggering. It's astonishing. So another clear understanding of why I had to go through that experience. I never would have maybe been able to even detect that, or definitely not been able to help all of these people in the way that I was, had I not gone through that experience myself. So again, use our experience and your healing and your wisdom that you gain from it to support and help others. And spirit will send those to you. The divine will send them. And that's what I got. The divine would just send them to me over and over and over and over. And it was quite amazing. And boy, they're living different lives now, and I'm grateful for it. So that's one part. But also the intense pain that I felt, and the growth, the catalyst it was for growth for me, to see all these things that were sort of dormant. I mean, I was already in a pretty high frequency, but all these things were dormant that I didn't see before, and this relationship highlighted and brought them to the surface. So I want to give an analogy of some of us being like seeds. Okay. So sometimes the greatest gift can be somebody coming along and covering you with darkness, and then you split open. And then you grow your roots, which is a new foundation, grow your roots and reach for the light. And then you can become this magnificent tree, new version of you, true, authentic self that you are always had the potential, always meant to become. So what a great gift. Somebody comes and covers you with dirt, with darkness, so that you can split open, grow your roots, reach for the sun through the darkness, reach for the sun, and then become this magnificent tree that you always had the potential to be. So that's the gratitude I have for that person and for that experience, for the divine sending that experience to me. I think that it's important to remove some judgment if we can. I know there's a lot of emotional charge because of the pain of these experiences, and because this pain is inflicted on others. Again, it's reactive in nature and harmful to others. I think it's important to see it as pain. All of it's pain, whether it's destructive to self or destructive to others. It's all pain, and it all needs healing, not shame and judgment. That was patterned into them. They haven't taken responsibility. Maybe they never will. Having said that, again, not okay, not excusing any behavior. And also it's their job to take responsibility and to heal, just like it's our job to do that on our end. But if we can take some of the judgment out of it and understand it's all pain, and they're different types. So that's where I got to. And the greatest gift of all from that experience came from a couple of years, actually. Like, I want to say it was a year and a half, maybe 2 years after the ending of it. And there was like a process of healing, and it wasn't like all at once. It sort of trickled in, come up now for a few days and then go away and come up. There was a lot of healing at first, but then it would be kind of just here and there. But the biggest gift that I got from that, and this is a gift I believe that has to be earned. I think a lot of the things, the compassion that I received from that, and the unconditional love, ability to unconditionally love myself and others that came from that, has to be earned. It's not just a natural thing, right? You have to earn it through experiences, or at least through wisdom and knowing some sort of experience, whether it be painful or not. I think you do believe now we can gain it from things that are not painful, but some of us have that path. It just depends on your path. So my ability that came at the end of it to love myself unconditionally, all parts of me, and then to be able to love him unconditionally on parts of him. Again, from afar, not through any interactions or any physical proximity or anything. The disregard still applies, but being able to, from afar, unconditionally love all parts of that person that even did all of these things, that were very harmful and hurtful. So once you can unconditionally love somebody that does those things, it has to first be unconditionally love all parts of yourself that were wounded, that allow this experience to come in and really heal yourself. Then you might have the capacity to be able to unconditionally love the other person. Like I said in my last episode, it's like, it's hard to do anything other than that when you're moving towards full healing in this energy that we're in right now. Freedom lies in unconditional love. So that's what freed me from this experience, right? It's always freedom. Maybe that's not your path. Maybe that's not what you're supposed to do with it. I'm speaking from experience, and from the highest teaching would be being able to unconditionally love that person after loving all parts of you. Then what happens is you suddenly have this ability to unconditionally love anybody and everybody. So your capacity to love and to have compassion has just become an ocean, right? Maybe it was a pond or a lake before. Now it's an ocean, and it's limitless. Unconditional love is absolutely the highest frequency, the highest, most beautiful thing. And getting that ability is life-changing. Being able to love a future partner. So for me, it would be a future partner that comes in unconditionally is amazing. I love myself unconditionally. I can love. Somebody said to me, like, I want to say it's like 2 weeks ago. They were like, "Are you in love or something? Like, you look different." So it was just because I'm holding the love frequency pretty often, right? And being in that and being that. So that person just happened to notice that I was sort of radiating that energy. And I have love inside me. I'm being love. I'm merging with that energy, and then I'm extending it outward. So when I am in a partnership, that partner will receive, well, I will be in love and also be able to extend unconditional love in a way that's doesn't cause suffering, because there's not the same type of attachment, right? Okay, so this is kind of getting to be a lengthy episode, so I apologize. Please stay with me, come back and listen to the rest another time. The last thing I want to say about that is I do want to share with you, I told you before, there's a lot of relationships coming now that we're supposed to move to unconditional love with the relationship. So those people that are ready and willing to do that, it might be part of your mission, or what you're here to do, to shift your current relationship towards unconditional love, or to have a new relationship that is like a divine counterpart. There is a soul connection, and you guys can do that together. And it's not to say that you won't have to work through some things, and that there won't be some wounds involved that come up for each of you. That might happen, depending on where you're at, and likely will. But keep coming back to unconditional love. Always more love is the answer. Okay, I'm gonna check the time. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about I want to mention again, so that version of me that I had that version of her was in alignment with that relationship and everything else in your life. So we're moving away from that topic now. You are in alignment, the version of you that you are now, you're in alignment, you're resonating with everything that you have, with your relationship, whether you have one or not, with your finances, how much money you're making, and also with friendships, with where you live, your situations, your status, what you do for work, whatever that is. The version of you that you're currently are being is resonating with all of that, or it wouldn't be in your life experience. So we are responsible, right, for pretty much everything that is in our life situation. I do feel like there are certain things that we've agreed to learn and experience as lessons that are a little bit different than that kind of are connected to the law of attraction, but different. But a huge percentage of this is the law of attraction. So when you become a new version of you through your healing process, you then have access to other types of relationships and other types of monetary abundance, other types of experiences in general, situations, people, places, things. So the higher version that you go, the more you're expressing this higher, getting closer to this higher version of you, that you have access to different things on each level, right? So you want to keep going on your healing journey, releasing, purging all that isn't you, moving into joy, moving into happiness. Is a choice. It's a choice. And being love, being that version of you, and then it draws all these things that you would like to experience to you, because you're being, so keep that in mind. Whatever version of you are now is in alignment with all the things you're experiencing. So as you become a new version of you, you get to align with other things. And the higher you go, the more these things become the things of your dreams, the things that you've always asked for and wanted to experience. Okay. So keep in mind as you're moving through relationships that not everything is meant to be a beautiful love story or meant to stay. There are seasons, and sometimes these come with important lessons in love. So sometimes it comes, you're supposed to meet somebody and be with somebody as a catalyst to realize, oh, I'm realizing one of the biggest realizations people can have is that they don't believe that they're worthy of an equal partnership. So if you're somebody that's always been the healer in relationships, and you've always been supporting your other person, and you've been more of the giver than the receiver, it hasn't been balanced, then that means that you don't believe that you're worthy of an equal partnership. So that's where the healing needs to be, right? So working on, why do I not believe that I'm worthy of an equal partnership? Or just working on fully believing that. So it can be as simple as going into that. Okay, wait, I am worthy of an equal partnership. Again, consciously, you know you are, but subconsciously you're manifesting these unequal partnerships, somebody that's not your equal mentally, emotionally, spiritually, intellectual, whatever, all, maybe even, like who they are as a person in general, their personality. So keep that in mind, that you are worthy of an equal partner, and then keep moving up, keep on your healing journey. Those who are meant for you will come to you as you keep on your personal healing journey. Okay, moving along, I want to talk about this idea of seeing. Okay, so when I think about a block of marble, okay, there was this saying that kind of sparked this in me. So I was describing this to somebody the other day. I tend to see people as this blocks of marble, and what I can see inside is the statue of David. So basically what I'm seeing is I'm seeing their true soul, authentic self in this block of marble. I can see the masterpiece of who they are. And I love it so much, right? So I love unconditionally. So this is clients and anybody that crossed my path. I can see who they truly are, this masterpiece. And I just focus on that. And I love that. And I love that. And support it, right? Support it to come forth. And discourage or disregard whatever doesn't come forth, or help them work through it if it's a client. So I'm like focusing on that. And then as you focus on that and you love that in your partner or in somebody that crosses your path, a friend, a client, then what happens is the marble that's excess, that's not part of the masterpiece, will start to fall away. Okay. Literally, it can be an energetic thing, whereas you love that masterpiece and you focus and see it, see who they truly are, and the light that they have to give to the earth, or to this world, you know, the light that they have to give, the things that they have to offer, that higher version of them, that masterpiece, and then the excess starts to fall away. So that's kind of tends to be my experience. Now, doing that in relationships was something that I had to learn to balance, right? Because you could still do that in relationships, and you ought to do that with your partner, but it's not about ignoring these other things. So the harm can come in ignoring the other things they're showing you, that makes it an incompatibility, that makes it something that can be harmful to you. So you have to have good discernment, awareness, and boundaries. You want to live in this magical fantasy land, because yeah, you can see that in there, but you don't know if they're ever going to be able to express that fully. And you're not the one to heal them. They are. Okay, simple. You're not the one to heal them. They are. You can sit there and focus on, if you're already in a partnership, on their masterpiece, and then let the marble fall away if it will, but ultimately they decide if it does. I have somebody in my life, a friend of mine, and she actually, in her healing work, she focuses, in my opinion, she focuses on the excess marble. So I don't feel like she really sees the masterpiece. She's seeing all the excess marble, all the things that it's not. And she sort of detects all these things and clears them away. And then what they become is basically, then she can see the statue. So in my opinion, I'm seeing the statue and focusing on that. So the other dissolves. She focuses on the excess, and then the statue appears. So one is not necessarily better than the other. It might be a better fit for some people than it's somebody else, but basically you're getting to the same point, right? Uncovering the authentic soulful self, just like the name of this podcast. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is talk about the power of the mind. And I want to first show you a pendulum. Okay. So let's see where we're at. So let me just show you the power of the mind. Okay. I've got two pendulums here. I'll show you each of them. All right, here we go. So the pendulum can be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on how you use it. I suggest using it only as training wheels and maybe not even using it at all. A friend of mine teaches a class on it, and I think that she teaches it the best way. But since there's so much out there about this and people can try it anyway, I want to show you how it can be influenced, okay? You have to be completely neutral if you're going to use a pendulum to ask for divine guidance. So watch this. I'm not going to be neutral. Hold on a second. Okay. Show me a yes answer. See how it's moving back and forth? Show me a no answer. Okay. It's kind of basically going side to side and spinning. Is my name Jessica Noel? Is my name Jessica Noel? Did you see that? First one, yes. Second one, no. Because I was putting energy into it saying yes, yes, and putting energy and saying no, no. So your hopes, the things that you want to experience and that you hope that the answer will be, can influence us very easily. I'll ask a different question. How about this one? Am I the most amazing person on earth right now? Oh gosh, I am. Look at this. Yes. Okay. Am I the most amazing person on earth right now? No. See, yes and no. So now I'll do it with asking to be neutral. Okay. Giving me only truth, keeping me neutral. Is my name Jessica Noel? Is my name Jessica Noel? Is my name Christina? Am I the most amazing person on the earth right now? Am I one of the most amazing persons on the earth right now? Ooh, amazing. I guess I am. There you go. You heard it here first. So we all are one of the most amazing people on earth. So here's a different pendulum. I'm just going to show you that I don't want to take up too much time on this. So show me a yes answer. Show me a no answer. Is my name Jessica Noel? Is my name Jessica Noel? Okay, see, the same idea. So I just want to show you, like, one of them, wood is supposed to be a lot more neutral. A friend of mine had gotten this to be more neutral, which it is. And this one is crystal, so it can kind of hold energy, so it's a little different. I just want to show you the power of the mind. My consciousness was basically controlling what it did, and you can move things with your mind. You can do all kinds of things with your mind. The more powerful and the more that you master your mind, the more that you can do with your mind and your consciousness. It's astonishing as you start to dive into the realm of what you can do with your consciousness. It's really important as you move forward on your path. So this is kind of also the side note, two side notes. One side note, I do want to mention this. Got this whole download yesterday just about time. So I experienced time from, let's see, Monday evening until Tuesday afternoon. It felt like many years had passed. I've also experienced time where it's like several days went by and it seemed like a few seconds. So what the information I received was that we literally are having time slowed down or sped up in order to process through and evolve into through whatever's coming up in our life experience. So if we have something coming up in our life experience, it might take longer to process. And it's almost like time is slowed down so that we can move through it to receive the wisdom evolution that we need. And other times it's sped up for a different reason. So it has to do, there's like a whole physics behind this, but we literally are each experiencing time differently. Some of us are like, oh yeah, I experienced it like years too. But so there's some commonality sometimes, but we are all experiencing time differently, but it's because it's actually literally being slowed down or sped up based on our specific experience and what we need for our soul's evolution, for our moving forward on our spiritual path. I want to talk about being very, very quiet and humble. So the most powerful people tend to be quiet and humble about it, right? They don't go around saying, I'm so powerful, I'm so, I can do this, this, and this. Now, they may offer their gifts or services, and then people will see that because they're offering them, but they don't go around talking or boasting about how amazing they are. That's ego. As soon as you go into ego, your power and gifts start to either diminish or be taken for a while, right? So that can happen, and then you might realize, oh, this was ego. But the people that are talking about how amazing they are and how powerful they are, and so that's just ego. That's not true power. So true power looks like humility and not sharing everything, right? There are certain spiritual experiences that should be kept. They're so sacred, they should be kept to yourself. There's others that are meant to be shared. And if you're a spiritual teacher, you're going to be sharing a lot of your experiences, but you're still going to be keeping a lot of sacred ones to yourself. My teacher, who will not allow me to say his name, and I understand that. I tried to say it, I think, on one of my early podcasts, and he garbled it. So he was in spirit by that point. And so it was completely garbled. You couldn't even hear the name anyway. So he always worked in what's called humble obscurity. And so does someone named Babaji, that is a teacher of mine in spirit now too. Well, he's technically, it's a whole thing with him I'm not going to go into, but Babaji is one of a teacher, a master of mine. But this person was he was teacher physically in the flesh that I would see frequently. So he did all kinds of miraculous, powerful things in what I call humble obscurity, which is not being seen. He didn't show himself. People would maybe feel the energy of him and be guided towards him, but he never showed himself as the master that he was. He moved along in humble obscurity, and he didn't want to be noticed. He sometimes wanted others to be noticed. So he would activate some of us and support us to activate very quickly. He would find us based on whatever we were meant to do. He had people here and there that he would spend time with. So he never did any of that. So for me, there's like a little bit of a blend, right? There are things I'm meant to share and other things that I do that I will not ever talk about. And there's some things that I do that I might share with one or two people if it feels right and it resonates. So there's a number of reasons why not to share, because it becomes, you're taking something that was so energetic and so beautiful and bringing it into a three-dimensional realm. And also it can get distorted by the other person. And some things are so sacred that you're meant to keep them, hold them in your heart. And sometimes it's even a timing thing. You need to let them integrate first. So you don't want to go telling everybody your experiences. It's good to have some people to talk to about it, maybe one or two people, especially if you're on your spiritual path. But going around telling everybody when you have some kind of major experience, that starts to become verging into ego. So the other thing that can happen is you can get influence from others when you start to kind of allow others into your energy by sharing information, whether it be about your experiences or about maybe there's something that you're processing through. You're giving them basically access to your energy by sharing that. So it's like you want to be really wise about who you give access to your energy with. I once had an experience where I gave access to my energy because it was somebody that I was working with, a client, and because we were about ready to do a session. And that's basically like, we're going to exchange energies at that point. And I went into the grocery store. I was about to get on the phone. I went into the grocery store, and it was like everything was going wrong in the store. And then I checked out, and the bottom of the bag dropped open, and the water fell out and spilled all over weirdly, the cap came off in a way that defied physics and spilled all over the floor. What happened is that she was in a very low frequency. So in no way was this person trying to harm me or hurt me energetically or even attached to me. It was just that her frequency was very low because she was in so much pain. And I was allowing that influence because I was about ready to interact with her in a healing type of way, right? So that was a good teaching for me at that time, to make sure that I have all of that blocked off until I'm literally on the phone, and to protect my energy and be aware that other people, who you're opening your energy to, and other people can influence it if you allow it. But remember that you get to decide. All you have to do is simply like not allow it, right? Or as soon as you notice it is happening, to block it off. Okay. So be really full of care who you give access to your energy through sharing. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay. So the last piece is alchemy of life. So the very simple thing that a lot of our parents used to say is like, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So I make it all fancy, and I say, I talk about the alchemy of life, the alchemy of using healing through the alchemy of love and the alchemy of life and things like that. But they used to just say that simply of, make lemons out of lemonade. So when life gives you a challenge or something that's painful, alchemize it, make the lemonade out of it, make something useful out of it. So all of the things that have come at me, they don't really come at me anymore. I have completed a major thing with that. But all the things that came at me that caused me pain, heartache, suffering, that were hard to move through, I took them all and I made them into wisdom, into power, into unconditional love, into healing, into compassion. So I took every bit of those things that had a lower frequency, that were making me feel this, and that, that I was responding to, feeling this, and this, and I alchemized them. And so I made them into gifts. I made them into their opposites. I transmuted them, right? So be the alchemist of your life, transmute them. Again, in other words, make lemons into lemonade, make something useful out of it. And you can use it as fuel for your fire. Is another one I like. Ooh, my heart skipped a beat there. So say it again. Use it as fuel for your fire, and for shining brighter. Make you shine brighter and brighter and brighter. And that's what I do. Yeah, I used it all. So here we are. I'm loving unconditionally, and I can't wait to connect with you guys in person. Please come to my next Embodied Wisdom and Profound Healing, which is actually March 8th. It's a Friday at 6:00 at the Center for New Life. So really excited to see you there. Okay, last thing is, okay, there's a purpose to sadness. Yes, I was watching this kids movie the other day, and it's called Inside Out. And it's funny, I'm actually drinking out of an angel cup that says joy on it right now. Hold on a second. One of the things that happened in this movie, Inside Out, basically the premise is there's all these emotions that are these characters in this movie, and they're all inside of this human girl's head. And it's this whole movie about all these emotions and their journeys, and they're trying to save core memories and things like that inside this girl's head, and with what she's experiencing in life. Well, the part I want to talk about is joy, the emotion of joy, who is personified as this character. She was always like sort of judging sadness, and like sadness was bad, and like keep sadness away, and she's not going to help anything. But in the end, sadness came along when the girl had run away from her family, because anger put this thought form. This is important to you. Anger put this thought form in there, and the girl accepted it. So remember, you don't ever have to accept a thought form. Time to master your mind. You control your mind. Watch your thoughts from above, or watch them like clouds. You are not your mind. You're separate from it. Watch the thoughts. Don't become one with them. When you're merged with your thoughts, if they're not purified enough, which for most people they aren't, the thoughts cause emotion, the emotion causes pain, right? So also, you don't have to accept the thought form. You can reject it and send it back to where it came from. Nope, I'm not taking this one in, I'm sending it back. Okay, just that's simple. Or some other method. You could do some visualization of sending it back. But anyway, in this movie, anger, the character was anger, put this thought form in, and she accepted it. And it was to run away from home. Joy and sadness were not currently present, so they couldn't do anything about it. So then when sadness and joy come back in there, then sadness actually comes, and she starts to go to the control center, and sadness comes over the girl, where she's like on the bus running away, and she has realizations of how much she loves her family, and it makes her go back to her family where she's supposed to be, and it makes everything heal and mend. So don't look at sadness as bad. Sadness can guide you. If you have run away from somebody because they loved you unconditionally and it was really your person, you can come back. And if they loved you unconditionally, they're still gonna, right? You come back a new version of you, you heal whatever that was that made you run. Um, and you come back and they'll accept you. If they're your person, they're going to accept you with open arms. So she was running. Sadness made her come back. So this can apply like in a relationship too. If you're running away from a relationship or a connection and you start feeling really, really sad, it might be guiding you to go back, but it might also be part of your healing process. You have to discern that. So I'm just saying, if it's from fear because you don't want to engage in that because you're afraid it's going to make you too vulnerable, then that's more of something to heal and clear. But the sadness is letting you know. So in other words, sadness can help let you know something. It can give you information, okay, one way or the other. So use your discernment with that. And then joy is really very important as well. So moving to joy and laughter and happiness, that's a choice. That's definitely a choice to have that. Just know that the other pieces can have their moments and purposes at times too. So sadness always gets our attention. Pain always gets our attention. But I also want to say that's not necessary for transformation. It can act as a catalyst for transformation. And if you experience it, you need to use it as that so that it has a purpose, so that you're not just sitting in something. But it's not necessary. You can have profound, timeline jumping, frequency shifting, joyful, euphoric experiences that have no pain with them. So don't form a belief that you can only change through pain and challenges, because that's not true either. And if you have it, just nope, I don't want that belief. I don't want that thought form. I give it back. Or we can do some belief work together if that's not enough in your situation. Okay. So remember, the answer is always more love. No matter what the situation, see if you can go to more love. And I saw that. I've said that so many times. I saw that in this beautiful little clip that if you still have pain in losing somebody or something not coming together, love them more. And then after you love them more, if you still have more pain, love them more. So just keep going, love, 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 love. Okay, the answer is always more love, unconditional love, pure love. The divine is pure love, and you are divine in human form. You are a spiritual being having a experience in a human body. So move into more love. That's it. We're wrapping up. Okay, thank you for sticking with me during this unedited and lengthy episode. I have so enjoyed connecting with you. So let's take a moment to close your eyes, a couple of deep breaths. This time we're actually going to drop all the way down into our solar plexus, our power center. Allow that to open, clear. Got any cords, attachment there, clear. And let that expand your empowerment, your power. And then moving up to the heart center, allowing the power to hold the energy in the heart center, the love, the compassion, to support it. Feel your heart center opening, expanding back to front. See if you can breathe in and out to support that through the heart center. Good, nice energy coming through our crowns, moving it through the crown. Just let it flow through your whole body, clearing, healing, opening. Good. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I have so enjoyed connecting with you today. And I will so look forward to the next time. Bye for now.